Mod Yuey, you're muted. You're muted. No one can hear you. Sorry.
How about now? Can chat hear me?
Okay.
Yay! Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let me. Hopefully that should work. Okay, so yes, welcome everyone to another episode of Runeskill and Chat. If you don't know who I am Mod Yuey. Where have you been? If you don't know who I am. But yes, welcome. I'd love to welcome you and our lovely esteemed JMods to this episode. We have the incredible Mod Blkwitch. Hello.
Hello.
And the incredible Mod Shrike. Hi. Should be able to...
Shrike it out.
Shrike is there. Shrike is there, I promise. We are having some technical difficulties, but we should be able to get those resolved hopefully very soon. Also joining us on this stream is the incredible graceepants. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome, awesome.
It's
And
good to
we
be
have...
here.
I'm Crystal. How are you doing?
How's it going? All good here. Thank you. How are you guys doing today?
Very well. Very well. Gonna go back to Mod Shrike. Do we have
Sorry, yeah, I'm back.
Yay!
Having
There
some
we are.
minor connection issues on my audio at the moment, but should be fine. Hello, I'm on Shrike.
Amazing, amazing. Nice to see you. So we are joined. We are doing a lovely little stream today where we are going to be doing Gate of Elidinis. So we're going to be doing something a little different. We've not done this before, where we have a lovely JMods who have helped design this incredible new scaling boss, and have some of our Discord moderators and incredible Twitch streamers, content creators come and join us at the same time. We are doing a little group where Mon Shrike is going to be joined by graceepants and I'm Crystal, where they go through Gate of Elidinis and go through the scaling boss. So if you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to. They will be doing their own group, so you can watch.
Yeah, it'll just be the three of us.
It'll just be the three of them, I'm
welcome to.
afraid. Yes, but we're going to be doing a little Q&A as much as we can. So if you do have any questions, keep those ready, and we will let you know when to ask them. So we are not getting bombarded with too many. But obviously,
I can't promise how
Blkwitch...
good I'm going to be at this because I'm going to be trying not to die and also answering chat, also managing various things. So we'll do our best and we'll have fun, and that's all that matters.
If you have any questions, if you see any questions pop up, obviously just keep a note of them, and then let the players know once you can see them. So once we have some time. So we will dive, I guess, straight in. When you are both ready, let me know. When you guys are ready. And
Yeah, Kristen and Grace, you ready to go up?
Ready to go?
Ooh.
Wonderful.
Yep,
I'm going
I'm ready.
to start with just the three of us, and let's go.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Fun. That's Crystal in.
Hey, that's
one. Just waiting on Grace, and then we can. I think we're going to be starting with some art questions and art comments today.
We are, yes. So again, we are trying to do stuff a little different. Obviously, as you can see, the incredible landscape and design of this, and we have the privilege of being joined by one of the creators of this, Mod Blkwitch. This is amazing. Like, I can't begin to tell you how incredible this is. Everyone I've spoken to, every player, every comment I've seen, threads, I've not seen one negative comment about this. Like, this is amazing. Just hands down. This is amazing.
I'm
Like,
really glad. I feel the constant need to one-up myself and the rest of the art team every time.
I can imagine it must be so daunting to have such a monumental task like this because it's never been done before, right? RuneScape has never done anything like this.
It was especially an interesting challenge for me because due to various reasons, I created both the arena and the actual boss, Elidinis, which I had never done before. It was when her design originally was created, like the concept for her was done. She looked amazing, and I immediately was like, man, I wish I could make her. And then I was going, because she's a statue, she kind of falls between character art and environment art, which are two different disciplines. So I was ready to go fight the character team to argue about why I should be allowed to make her. But due to scheduling reasons, she was just assigned to me anyway, which was great. But then it immediately hit me like, oh no, now I need to make both the boss and the whole arena for this in time for like a boss to go to animation, which is also quite complex. So there was a lot to do.
Well, I mean, what's been your like
Sorry,
the
chat is
highlight
saying
for?
they can't hear me.
Oh, chat can't hear you. Oh.
That's what chat is saying at the moment.
Oh no! This entire time. Sorry,
This entire
chat.
time.
No, I checked and they can definitely hear her. It's just that she's a bit quiet. That was it.
Oh.
Okay.
Like she's definitely heard, just a bit quiet. Yeah.
Okay,
let me pull the microphone closer as well. I can do that.
Yell into the microphone. You can do
No,
it.
it's better.
Yell.
Yeah, I'm not going to yell. I don't know if this is better at all or not.
No, I think it's okay. I think a lot of chat can hear you, so I think it should be fine.
I see.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are good. We are.
Oh, all right. We'll go with that.
I'll turn it up so. Okay. Hopefully that should be a little louder for chat to hear you.
All right. Hopefully, yeah.
So, are there any elements of this incredible statue that players won't not necessarily see at the beginning? Like, have you seen from your visuals of seeing how players have reacted to this boss? Have you noticed anything from them that they might not have seen yet, or rather, what's been your highlight of creating this statue? Because
I don't think there's immediately anything that they won't have seen yet. The thing that I try to do at boss arenas and kind of at the boss as well is trying to keep it simple and quite clean. Because obviously the most important part of it is gameplay, and you want the arena to be clear, and you want to be able to see what's going on at all times. So boss arenas aren't really the place to put like a lot of little details and Easter eggs, in my opinion. Some of them, good work, but something like the Gate of Elidinis, which is kind of an abstract environment set on top of the Sanctum of Rebirth, it wasn't really the place for that.
Right.
So obviously, like all the way around the entire arena is like more Sanctum kit map to make it look like you're on top of the big pyramid, where the Sanctum of Rebirth is set. Which is quite fun. Like in the skybox and everything, you have like the rocks floating off as well to kind of give that impression. But yeah, I don't know. I really like doing things like lighting and making cinematic shots, and the entire arena here is designed as basically one big vista. Everything is pointing towards the boss, and it's very much designed for that to be a really great view. So that's kind of was my favorite thing, just doing the composition, doing the lighting, and supporting all of that and making that look really
amazing.
good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
I remember for the
off.
initial part of development, it was going to be a fairly standard like circular or square arena with the boss in the middle. We thought that was a bit too close to Croesus, so Mod Ramen came up with this idea of making it a wedge, so it's a triangle and it's leading up towards the statue. So in theory, whenever you're doing the gameplay, like we want this shot with the statue behind the moon, this is meant to be the focus. So really, wherever you're playing, you're always going to be looking at the boss. And I think it works out really nicely.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when we first talked talk through all of the mechanics and the design, and we did like a rough sketch on like a whiteboard of what the boss was. It just was a sketch of the arena of Croesus, and I was like, oh no, we just made Croesus
We just
again.
made Croesus again.
How can I make this different?
It's like crabs. All skilling bosses return to Croesus eventually. My favorite part of this is this lovely starlight texture on the ground.
Yes.
It's such a wonderful touch, but I'm just absolutely in love with it. I think it's so beautiful.
I am incredibly pleased with that because basically that on the ground is not particularly a physically accurate, realistic metal, but it was supposed to be like a super shiny kind of silver that perfectly reflected the stars in the sky, which our engine wasn't doing, even if I made it the shiniest it could possibly be. So then I used some tech that was made for like the Aurora cosmetics, where you have like a panning kind of star texture going over stuff that reacts to screen space. So if you move your camera, it reacts to that. I overlaid that on it together with like metallic values, so it looks like the sky, but it's not actually the sky. So I assume most players won't notice that.
It does. It does look like
well.
it's like a reflection of the sky. Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that working.
I know that graceepants and Crystal, I know that you potentially had some questions as well. You wanted to pass across.
Absolutely. I was gonna ask, like, what is your favorite part about the Gate of Elidinis?
I think it has to be actually the Statue of Elidinis, because it's so different from anything I've done before. I've never made a character that like fully animates and everything, and I've made a boss that's in RuneScape now. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So that's probably my favorite part of it.
You should be really proud of it. You should be super proud of it.
I am.
I know Grace has some questions as well. She could ask.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I was wondering about, I know that the ability, I guess mine are a little more, I guess, development based, so probably more aimed at mod Shrike, but I know that the ability to do the skilling boss solo and in a group was kind of one of the most sought after features for a lot of players. So I was wondering, how much did the scalability factor into the design of the boss?
So that's an interesting one, and one of the big points of feedback we've had is that players aren't 100% happy with how group feels at the moment, and that's something we are looking into. We are going to be tweaking, how group feels. I know Mod Ramen's looking at that at the moment. We were quite upfront from the start that this is going to be a solo-focused experience. Croesus was group-focused, this one's solo-focused, because that's what players were asking for. So that's where we put the majority of our effort. Grouping at the moment is just flat scaling. Because it is mostly intended to be a solo experience. But if players aren't too happy with how it feels right now, then yeah, obviously we're going to be tweaking that.
Yeah, that's really great to hear.
That's okay. It's one of those things with players, like they said, oh yeah, we want a solo skilling boss. So we made a solo skilling boss, and now everyone's going, we want a group skilling boss. I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah, it's really hard to balance because like I don't know, doing content solo is great sometimes, but also like I don't know, going out and playing with your friends is also yeah,
but like RuneScape is famously an MMO full of cats because everyone wants to play on their own in a multiplayer environment, which I find very funny. But yeah, no, it's definitely solo first. But yeah, we'll be tweaking some aspects of the group experience just to ease off a few of those
doing this in a group,
rough edges.
Shall we try to do the boss?
So I absolutely love the entire arena. We've already been showcasing it. It's so stunning and visually pleasing. Was there like any inspiration behind the graphics for this Elidnis area and specifically?
Yeah, basically a lot of that was already done for us because we wanted similar aesthetics to the Sanctum of Rebirth, but then a lot more astral almost, a lot more nice. And yeah, obviously you have the very big moon behind her. So at first we also played a bit with the idea of having water in the arena because Elidnis is goddess of the river, but we kind of scrapped that eventually because it was looking a little bit suspiciously like the arena from Elden Ring. from.
I can
That's
see
Not that you
that.
fair,
Not that you and Mod Ramen are obsessed with Elden Ring at the moment, but
Me obsessed with Elden Ring? Absolutely not. Um, but yes, and then yeah, a lot of the work for that again was already done. But then the statue for Elidinis itself was a bit more challenging because I don't think Elidinis has ever been depicted in game, or if she
No.
has, it's a
No, I don't
probably
think so.
really old bad model.
there's
as a
like
statue
one
somewhere.
really old statue from like
Yeah.
2008, 2009, but she's never had a proper physical representation. One really cool thing that we did manage to do for this update was we got proper concept art for what Elidinus actually looks like in her human and animal aspects, which is just really cool. We've got it up on the wall, I think, in here somewhere. I don't know when we can share it, but I'm really excited to share it whenever we get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll kind of depend on whether or not we ever show that or
Ever
just do
show
it
that?
properly.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, when I was doing pre-production for this and trying to come up with, what are the nouns and what are the verbs and what are the vibes that we're going to put into this, and then how do we develop the mechanics from there? A lot of it was contrasting it with Croesus, and Croesus it's a mushroom, it's soil, it's disgusting, it's kind of slimy and sticky, and it gets under your nails. So
Right.
for this one, it's more ethereal and like Mod Blkwitch said, it's like astral and more abstract rather than earthy. So it's more like water and air rather than water and earth and mud, all that kind of stuff. So those were kind of the words you start with, and then start doing ideation from that point to start building out the mechanics and building out the visuals and what's this actually going to look and feel like. I realize we're coming up to half past. Shall we start a run and see how we go?
Yes, because I do
Absolutely.
have some other questions, which we have so many. We have so many because we've been collating these obviously since the launch on Monday. So it's been a lot of questions that
Wonderful.
we obviously want to go over. But yes, let us start.
Okay.
Let us start the
terms
boss
of-
fight. Woo!
Before we start, how do we want to split up the jobs? I'm happy to focus on maintaining the moonstone barriers, just because I'm also going to be answering questions at the same time, and I'm not sure how many things I can juggle at once.
I will direct some questions to Mod Blkwitch. So if you
Yeah.
if you
That's
have
actually a good
moments where
idea.
you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can answer this while I'm mining.
So
then
what
feel
you
free
can
to.
do for Grace and Crystal, you can kind of choose to go either north side or south side. So that's what we've been calling beyond the barriers. I tried to JMod teleport to the other side of the barriers, and obviously that doesn't work on my normal account. This side is beyond the protection of the moonstone barriers, so you will be taking auto attacks, and whenever she does her begone attack, you will get no protection from that. If you go behind the barriers, you are protected from the auto attacks, and you are given protection from her projectiles. But you will get slightly less resources, so it will be a little bit slower. Up to you which one you choose. I'll keep the barriers up, and yeah, once you've got enough statue pieces, just slam that extra action button and go hit her in the face. And we can talk about that mechanic in a bit, actually, because I think it's one of my favorite parts of this boss is the slam mechanic. I think it's really cool.
Not the face.
How is that sounding?
That sounds great.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
so
Let's go.
Grace and I, we can just go. Do you want to do north or south, Grace? I'm not fussed either way. If you have a preference, let me know.
It doesn't matter to me.
South is a bit more chill because north you do get hit with mechanics, and if you get hit with the mechanics and you don't avoid them, the corruption builds up over time. So south might just be a bit easier. It'll take longer,
Okay.
but at least it'll just be a bit easier.
I'll do south then.
Yeah, you want to do south?
So we can stack up as much as possible, and then once we both have a good amount, we can jump up at the action button together. We can just go up on
That'd be
the
awesome.
agility mechanic together. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to be very chaotic and be like, let just chat decide what everyone's going to be doing. But
No,
I think
absolutely not.
Uh,
Okay, so I'm grabbing moonstone pieces at the moment.
Here we
It's
go.
funny playing this kind of phase 1, phase 2, because there was originally like an entire gameplay phase in this section, and it just wasn't feeling right. It's so important to whenever we started playtesting things, the amount that changed between the original design. We ended up just completely cutting stuff and just ripping things out that we thought would be cool initially on paper, but then when we started playing it, it was just like, this isn't great.
That was going to be one of my questions, actually. Yeah, like how much of the concept of what you guys designed to how much, obviously, from the delivery of all of this was cut from concept to execution. Like that must have been the process of like creating something like this must take so long. Like how long does it usually take for you both to go from all these different types of
So
concepts?
we started development in end of May, I think. It was directly after Requiem for a Dragon for me. You might want to heal, Crystal. And this is I'm trying to focus on two things at once now.
No, you're good. I mean, the thing is,
Right, dodge.
what was great was
Oh, there we go. It was
very close. I remember meeting you, Mod Blkwitch, in the office. It was like my first time going in, and I remember the first thing I saw was you creating the statue, and I was just like, what is that? It was just incredible. And I started like the beginning of May, so this is for everyone else who's like, listening. This takes, it takes a good amount of time to create something as incredible as this. And I know that obviously with different departments obviously have been working on this. I wrote a very good question which I'd like to read out properly, because I know that it's probably not going to sound the same if I try to say it myself. So this boss is really unique, and how it integrates skilling and combat mechanics, but it wasn't just a standard development process. You had a whole team. You had devs, artists, QA all come together for like a full day of brainstorming and prototyping, which sounds super creative. But can you tell us more about that collaboration that shaped all of this? Because I know that this was something that is obviously not just yourself. You had to sort of design this, Mod Shrike, Mod Blkwitch as well. Like, you all had to come in as artists and devs to really work together. Like, what was that like for you all? That would be for Mod Blkwitch.
Concentrating. That was really good. Well done, guys. Make sure hide behind the attack. Nice. Well done. I'll get the barriers up. You guys go around for a second round.
Sounds good.
So intense. So intense. We should have put on like tension music on at the same time.
Oh, we can talk about the audio in a second, because we did some voice acting and stuff for this, and it was really fun. But yes, Mod Blkwitch, please do take that question.
Okay. It was... So first of all, at Jagex we can kind of choose if we work from home or in the office. So we have some people who are in the office most of the time. So like Ramen, Shrike and I are kind of in the office a lot of the time already. But then there's a lot of other people who work on this who weren't. And one of the challenges with that is, on a project, especially like a boss fight, which changes quite fast and a lot, you want everyone to be on board with it, and you want everyone to be aware of what is going on. So that's kind of why design and development had been going a little bit slow, and we were a little bit stuck with it.
Dive!
So
Sorry.
So yeah, we kind of got everyone in for a full day of talking it through, kind of just going through like, right, this is the idea that we have, and then ripping it completely apart, kind of doing then like rough paper prototypes, and just also like laying on a whiteboard, just like laying out every single step of the fight and how it all relates to each other. And just having everyone in there meant more different perspectives, and also made sure that it became a lot clearer and didn't become too like overly complicated as well. Because everyone kind of had to be on board. Everyone like was really good at questioning all of the different things and all the different elements. And it just helped as well when leaving that everyone had a perfect idea of every single part that was needed for this, right?
Yeah.
Because some projects you'll work on and you won't have a full idea of something that has changed, and then last minute other requests come in. Well, this wasn't really the case with this, because everyone had a very clear idea of this is exactly how this goes. And obviously it has changed with playtests, and actually like it's different talking about it and being like, this sounds like a great idea, and then actually making it is, of course, and playing through it is a lot different than that.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of the elements that were discussed then are still there, and yeah, it was a really good experience.
I love that.
We lost Grace. Grace.
Grace. Oh no.
That's okay. During a VOD.
That's okay. We're almost there. If you want to pick up those shards, you can just throw it in the face directly. They're on the ground.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Grace. We just completely missed you. Oh my goodness.
There you go. Yeah, you can just chuck them, which I always find really funny.
Can I quickly answer a question as well that is in chat about how much something like this is being playtested? For Sanctum of Rebirth and this boss as well, there were, at one point when it was playable, there were daily playtests, which, like, the same group of people playing through it every single time to get quick iterations and quick changes of it. So I think that was like a 2-hour long playtest every single day.
Wow.
So yes, it gets playtested quite a lot, and it was actually quite insane seeing how fast the iterations were happening at that point.
Yeah. It's why having someone like Raman on the team is just so invaluable, because he's been making bosses for 10 years and he just gets it.
Right.
And the kind of changes he can spot and the kind of things he can do are just so useful.
I can
'cause,
imagine,
we were in these 2-hour playtests and he was just changing things on the fly, making sure that we were, getting the right things, making sure it felt right. And a lot of the big changes in the end came from him. It's a shame he can't make it onto the stream today, because like so much of this is him, including that jump slam mechanic. That's his signature of Ramen magic. It's his baby. He has a thing. He'll say, "Oh, I've thought of an idea. It probably won't work," and then go dark for 2 days and come back with the most insane prototype you've ever seen. It's just what he does, apparently.
Quick side note: the reason the cameras were inverting is because of my OCD, which I have to make sure everything is sort of perfect and everyone's sort of looking the same way. And it was just bugging me that more Blkwitch was looking to the left and not to the right. But yeah.
Because I have the stream open on that side of my screen.
I suppose, yeah, since we have made, obviously, this is the second skilling boss. I know that, Shrike, you were discussing this before, but like, in terms of like the challenges that came with creating a second skilling boss, what were the biggest challenges that you all had that experience while making this?
I would say it's making it distinct enough from Croesus, but still feeling like a skilling boss. We spent a long time figuring out, as part of the Right Click Examine blog that we put out, what is a skilling boss? How do we make it distinct from a normal boss? How do we make it distinct from skilling as a thing? Because RuneScape skilling most of the time isn't actually that exciting. It's just click on a thing and wait. So how do we turn that into an encounter that then feels like a boss? I'm going to go for a jump slam in a second.
Jump slam, here we go.
There we go. We should be able to.
That's it.
I can't wait to do this. I'm so excited to do this.
We should be able to get it with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh. Yay!
25.
Yes. What? Okay, I was about to say. I was like, there's a 500 HP left. We're good.
Nice one.
Yay! Well done.
I love the animation of how she like rebuilds.
Oh, it's so lovely, isn't
so
it?
Good.
It's brilliant.
There's something to say about the animation, actually, because the way she is animated is new for a RuneScape character. The way she's rigged, and from a technical level, I really want our animators to do like a little in-depth post about it, because it's really interesting. It's quite experimental. It's very different to how other characters are animated, and I hope we can bring it into the rest of the game, because it's much quicker, it's much more efficient. It's just like a lot of real nice technical improvements.
Interesting. I'm going to write that down to animate.
It'd be nice to get a blog post, like a behind-the-scenes blog post about it, because it was super interesting. But yeah, nice job, guys. Do we want to answer a couple more questions and then maybe do a second round?
Yeah, Crystal, Grace, did you guys have any questions?
Yeah, sounds good. There have been a couple in chat too that I noticed.
Yeah,
hit
let's
us.
go.
Hit us.
One from Rubik. Were there any mechanics or iteration that didn't make it to release?
Yes, so part of that phase 1 that I mentioned that was cut completely, there was the whole idea of these streams of souls that you can see going into the boss. You would have kind of souls breaking off from that and starting to wander around the arena, and you'd have to run around and cleanse them and try and fix that. So the whole idea was that you could see the corruption progressing throughout this environment by the number of souls that were breaking away, but it just wasn't fun. It wasn't fast enough. We initially wanted this boss to have a kind of slow build up and then a rapid escalation, but that slow build up ended up being too long, so we just ended up going for that 15-second phase 1 and then leaping straight into the rapid escalation instead. But yeah, that all got completely ripped out. And I think it's still in code, but it's just, you go in there and you disconnect the wires and you hope for the best.
Yeah, just not switched on.
Yeah, it's one of the things that sounds cool on paper, and then you try it and you play through it, and it's like, this actually isn't how I thought it would be in my
Yeah.
head. Or like
It's why prototyping and why playtesting is so important, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really good question. I'm not sure. Let me find. There was a question I wrote down from one player, and I know this is something obviously that's gone behind, because as someone who is currently going through a lot of quests myself, it has gotten to a point of frustration of skilling bosses or certain bosses being locked behind quests. So we had a question from good old Hank. He says, or they say, I'm super torn on the concept of having a boss locked behind quests, which I like, but also having it be a skilling boss that's not accessible to skillers. What was the thought process? Oh, it keeps going. What was the thought process behind locking a skilling boss behind a series of combat requirements? Are there any potential plans to change that?
So this skilling boss is very heavily involved with the story. There wasn't really a way we could release it without including all the story context.
Right.
And, it was... Because we did discuss this, do we make this completely accessible to skilling pures, players who have chosen not to engage in combat, or do we make it more widely accessible? For this particular context and what this skilling boss needed to do, it wasn't appropriate. There's no reason why we can't release something different in future. Yeah, that's the best answer I have, really.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the vast lore of RuneScape is massive, right? It goes back to, I would say decades, but we don't really know what the year span is of the RuneScape lore.
It's almost 25 years now.
Yes, next year will be
Almost
25, right?
years. It's incredible.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. It's going to be super exciting. Super exciting. One question, I know that some players have had their drop rates has been a little difficult when they've been trying. Has there been any talk or discussion yet on what the drop rates are going to be like for...
At the moment, no plans to change it. I mean,
Okay.
drop rates are pretty much analogous to any other boss, really. Like, we've gone for a boss approach rather than a skilling approach. So there is an element of RNG. There is an element of luck in your boss rolls. The numbers
So where those
themselves
luck rings,
aren't...
right?
Yeah, like, the numbers themselves have been balanced for a boss. They're not egregious. At the moment, we don't really have any plans to change them. I mean, it's part of playing bosses in RuneScape, is that element of luck.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go dry, and that's part of the game. Number of times, what was it for the King Black Dragon lore book? The amount of time I had to spend at that, Jesus.
I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm very excited to be doing it tomorrow, and I've got Gracie
Last Riders?
joining me
Oh.
for King Black Dragon.
I
So
will
I'm quite
say,
excited.
for the lore book, that does have bad luck mitigation, so that your Master Quest cape doesn't get completely locked out. I think it's after 15 or 16, it's guaranteed drop. So we have put in stuff like that.
Okay.
But for the skilling off hands and the latent offerings, that's just standard boss rolls, really. Sometimes you'll go dry.
Fair enough. I guess it's just one of those things that you have to just be quite persistent with.
It's part of bossing.
It's
right?
part of bossing, right? You gotta keep doing it. Otherwise, if it's too easy, you're just not gonna do it. You'll do it once and then that's it. The amount of time and effort and work that's gone behind creating something like this that you all have created. If someone was to be able to complete it so quickly and be done with it and get the rewards, then people will just forget about it, and it's difficult.
I mean, it's more like it's part of the identity of RuneScape, right?
Yeah.
That's part of how you play the game.
In terms of player feedback on this, have you had a chance to go through any play feedback that you've seen? Have you been able to see any of the work that some of the players have done on this? I know there has been some incredible artwork, and Blkwitch, I know that you're probably very proud to see your incredible statue coming to life on different versions of her on socials. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, no, that's really fun. It's really great seeing fan art of a character that I've made now. That's a really good feeling. And other than that, I'm already on. I've been finished with this project for quite a while before it released. So far that I've already finished a whole other project since then. So
Oh snap!
the release felt like a little bit strange for me because I was already a little bit detached from it, but I've been
Right.
trying to keep an eye on people playing through it, and there's one small fix that I did, which is the like boxes on the mining nodes, making it that you can no longer click between some gaps in there. That's the one fix I did. But other than that, there hasn't really been any issues for like environment or with the actual boss model as far as I have seen.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Oh, you've started again. Yay.
Yes, we've just started another round. Yeah,
Also.
I'm going to go north this side.
Crystal, Gracie, did you have any other questions that you've spotted by any community? Has there been anything that you've seen during your streams that has been sort of a discussion point during gates? Oh no, you didn't dive.
I did have a question, because I really liked the idea behind the agility mechanic. Was there anything that inspired it? A lot of people just thought it was really cool. It's like doing parkour or something. So.
I mean, I can't speak for Ramen, and he'll be able to answer this more accurately. But I think from my impression of it, it's similar to the time warp mechanic in the Carapac boss fight, which is another one of Ramen's fights. He's very keen on those sort of big cinematic moments. So that's, I think, where the thinking of it came from. It should feel really cool. It should feel like a hell yeah moment, which are really important in boss encounters. You should feel powerful. You should feel like you're doing something physically really awesome.
Right.
And that was just how we decided to do it in I don't know if he calls them hell yeah moments or whether that's some other designer I've heard them call that, but that's basically they should give you that feeling of, yeah, I've done something awesome.
I
we're
like
going
that
for a Sam
concept.
already.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'll notice whenever you do your final jump, you have the slow-mo, and you also have like a little like audio drop whenever you do it, which I think is a really nice touch. I would love to discuss the audio more if we have time, because
yeah, the audio is so good. I'm currently having it on right now.
Because I know that there was a bit of an interest when you said voiceover work, which is really cool. So yes, please go into it.
So we ended up we didn't have enough time to get a voice actress in for Elidinis. Mod Grace instead called myself, Mod Blkwitch, Mod Dragon, Mod Echo, and Mod Nixon, who's also on the audio team. And we did the voice acting ourselves. We just went down to Grace's audio booth and just screamed into a microphone for half an hour.
Yeah,
it was really fun. As you do. And it was really, really good. I love how it turned out in the end with all like the overlapping voices, and it's kind of exactly what I had in mind when I was writing the voice acting script. So yeah, no, it was really awesome.
Yeah, I like how otherworldly it feels, because like,
yes,
it's a statue. She's not supposed to have a voice. It's not the voice of Elidinis that you hear. It's kind of as much as I'm going to say about that. But layering all of the voices on top of each other, like, gave it a very, like, wrong kind of feeling, in like, a good way, in the exact way that we want. So...
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is one thing to say. Like, this is not Elidinis as a character. This is the Corrupted Gate that's attacking you. Lore players explore that however you will.
Well, there we go. Had it here first. That's really cool.
I shouldn't swear on stream. Sorry, I'm being a toxic gamer. Oh, fucking hell. Sorry.
You just said that you shouldn't swear at Shrike.
Oh my god. What is happening
no, what
now?
is happening?
See, there is one mechanic that I don't think... Yeah, there is one mechanic that I don't think players have noticed yet.
Oh, okay.
Which I haven't seen any chatting about. If you don't do the jump slam, if you choose not to, there is a soft enrage. And her attacks will get more powerful, and she'll call up more soul devourers, and she'll just get a little more difficult each round of attacks she does. So it's definitely worth doing this if you can.
A little reinforcements.
Yeah, just a little bit. I love that slow-mo. It looks really cool. So okay, we're almost there.
So good. So in terms of voiceover work and stuff on this, how much was involved? Was it just you guys screaming into this, or is there a lot of stuff that's already sort of preloaded and in the RuneScape lore books that just gets used? Because
What
I
do you
would love
mean?
to do this. I would love to be able to go into a sound studio and just make some noises for RuneScape. I think that sounds
Oh, you just ask More
awesome.
Grace,
Yeah.
and she'll say yes. That's all you have to do. You just have to ask.
Right, so this is going to be your challenge. You're going to have to find out where my voice is in game.
We could have gotten you as another voice for Elidinis,
Damn it!
probably. Just
Oh,
like
it's so
another one
annoying.
layered on top of it.
Yeah,
If I'd
because
only known.
there's male and female voice in it, but like we do voice acting quite a lot.
Yeah.
I know for things like the Elite Dungeons, there's several bosses that are voiced by JMods. Mod Blkwitch, I know you voiced the Chaos Witch
Yes.
and that's just you, and I find that hilarious because you can recognize you by your accent.
That's so cool.
I had players message me about that when it came out, which was really funny. Just
Yeah.
like sending me screenshots of them defeating the boss with just like screenshot and then the message sit. Like, so mean. But yeah,
So rude.
all
So
of
rude.
all of the bosses in the Zamorak dungeon, besides Zamorak himself, are voiced by
Yeah, Zamrak, we got a professional in.
Yeah.
That's really
but
cool.
things like, I know the ambassador in Elite Dungeon 3 and Ulfin Kriath is voiced by Mod
Orion?
Orion, who was the lead designer for
Ooh.
that project. And I think that's really cool. Like the final boss of your big project, you get to be the voice of. I love that.
That's really cool. Where is that? I'll write this
That's
down.
the Elite Dungeon 3, which is the underwater one. He's the ambassador.
Ah.
Should
That's
be enough.
cool.
Yeah, I'm ready to go if you guys are.
Big jump. Big jump. One big
We
jump.
should get her this time.
How are you?
Come on.
How are you both finding it, Crystal, Grace?
Yeah, it's a good boss. It's very different from Croesus. People ask
Yeah.
me like which one I like better per se, but they're definitely not comparable because they're very different in terms of mechanics, the way they've been made. So it's really nice and refreshing to have something different from like everything else we've seen so far. So props to the team. You guys have done an amazing job. Of course, it's absolutely beautiful as well. I'm going for the 100 KC for the skybox, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
I've been enjoying it. I'm still getting the hang of it. I get distracted easily, so I keep missing like the Begone, as you saw before. But no, I'm starting to get the hang of it.
This has become like a Hot Ones version, but instead of hot sauce, it's bosses.
I do love that Blood Moon skybox. I feel like that was something that has survived from the very original design iteration. Was we want to have the Blood Moon or the eclipse of some sort.
It's so stunning, yeah.
I'm so glad that has, because it's actually quite unusual for a design that comes up in the initial, an idea that comes up in the initial design to survive all the way until release. Usually they change beyond recognition. But there were a couple of things that actually made it through to the final thing, and that skybox change is one of them. So yeah, very
Luckily
pleased
enough,
about that.
We've seen
That's
some
one of the very first things I made for the project as well, is like I did the full light setups, like the blue one and the red one before the actual arena, because the design for the arena wasn't done yet, so I was just messing around with lighting.
I mean, going off the design and everything that you both have made for this, like, has there been any thoughts on what you could potentially improve for a potential next boss? Like, if there is any discussions. As a side note, yes, I would love to voice a mascot for next year. Thank you. I will put my pitch in to Mod Grace and see if I can get it done. But yes, back to you both here. Yeah, has there been anything in there that you'd love to be able to do now that you've done this? Like, obviously there's always going to be room for improvements. Can you give us any potential hints if there is anything that is potentially coming or that we can maybe talk about? I'm not entirely sure, but
obviously I can't give any hints about what's coming up beyond what we've announced on the roadmap.
I tried, chat. I tried.
I think with this one we've shown that we can do skilling bosses as a kind of content, and they're now part of our roster of, you know, the kinds of content we make. Skilling bosses are, now we've done two, we're like, okay, we can keep going with this. Me personally, I think it would be quite interesting to create a group boss that is a combination of skilling and combat. So you have more distinct roles. You have people who are in that as the combat experts, and then you have people in that as the skilling experts, and seeing if they can work together to defeat an NPC. That's more of just a vibe idea. I don't really have anything specific in mind, but it could be quite fun.
That sounds really cool. what do you guys think, Grace, Crystal? Is like obviously from the vast amount of years that you guys have been playing the game, and obviously going through different bosses, and obviously with your help of help me defeat bosses, what kind of stuff do you guys look for when trying to access PVM or skinning bosses? Like, is there anything specific that you like about this kind of stuff?
Really like trying new bosses and seeing the differences. With Sanctum and Elidnis, the telegraphing has been amazing, and it's just like no other boss we've like ever received, and it's been an incredible experience because it's just something where you're so used to like kind of just getting down the mechanics and then understanding how the boss works, but with the telegraphing it's like random, it's a bit more exciting. So I really enjoyed the last few boss releases, and I'm looking forward to more in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know how Grace feels. Yeah.
So I'm not a big PVMer, but what I've really liked about the last couple of bosses is that it's made it very clear like where you're making mistakes. So it's very easy to learn. Especially like Sanctum. I mean, also with this one, just like the blue squares and things like that, it's very clear where you need to avoid. And Sanctum having like the 3 lives in normal mode, it's not so punishing if you make a mistake. So you can continue with the fight. And yeah, it's very easy to learn these bosses. And I mean, you don't learn them right away, but
right.
It's easy to continue to make progress. And I think that's been very helpful for me as someone who's not a big PVMer, but is trying to get more into it.
That's really good to hear, because I know when Mod Ryan was doing his design work for Sanctum, one of the things that he wanted to tackle is people's fear of PVM and making it more, not accessible, but just like showing that it's not scary and that more people can get involved in it. And it sounds like from what you're saying there that the kind of work he's been putting in is making a difference. So yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome. I mean, one thing that definitely did terrify me especially when I went to the first time before I even started, right when I first began playing, and I accidentally went into Falador and then into the Giant Mole boss lair, and I was like, what is this? Level 300? Absolutely not. And just like, that's terrified me ever since, and I've just like avoided that lair until I had the wonderful pleasure of talking to our lovely Discord moderators who were like, yeah, let's do our first boss together. And I was like, great. But no, it worked out really well. And now we are doing a boss a month. We're doing one big boss a month. So doing King Black Dragon tomorrow. So tune in same time tomorrow to watch me make it out myself. That will be fun. But I'll be joined by graceepants, which is very helpful, and Mrs. Caitlin, I believe, which is really, really exciting. We are almost...
I don't think it's me joining tomorrow, but you're going to be in good hands otherwise.
Yeah,
you're not joining?
I'll be there with Caitlin tomorrow.
Oh, Crystal. Apologies. I think it was...
No worries.
Different names, but yes. Yes, that's great. Obviously, I know that we are almost at the wrap-up, but are there any...
Yeah, time.
I know, it's crazy how fast this hour goes. It's really frustrating.
It goes by really quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to head back to the staging area. Yuey, Blkwitch, I don't know if you've got your mod accounts, if you want to come and do love letters and that kind of thing.
I don't.
Thanks, guys. That'd be great.
I can't access my mod account from my home PC, unfortunately.
No!
Otherwise I would.
I'm afraid I'm on my personal, so I can't give them out right now. So...
I will need to log into my VPN, which is a little scary because that's what's disconnected our audio a few times.
Okay, let's not do that then.
However, I will come.
We can finish with this beautiful shot of the Sanctum from the outside.
Yeah, we are in World 139, I believe.
Yes, 139.
So if you are in World 139 and would love to get a quick snapshot of our lovely team here, come and join us, which would be quite nice. But before we do wrap up and get everyone coming to join us, is there any last bit of advice? This is a question for all of you, I guess, because everyone's really done the boss, and there's obviously been elements of the boss which people are still working towards. But are there any, I would say, bits of advice that you would give to people who are just starting this out, who are sort of just going through this now? What kind of advice would you give them? And that's to everyone, so...
I am not sure, honestly. I am. The vast majority of players are way better at this than me, so I don't know how much advice I can give.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I think Shrike is in deep
I'm back.
capturing moments. Yeah, basically I was just saying, like, what kind of advice is there? Yeah, would there be any type of advice you would give to anyone just starting this boss? Is there anything that you could advise to sort of, like, optimize their experience a little more?
I don't have much advice about optimization other than bring along mining gear and stuff that makes mining faster, because then you can build up the barriers faster.
I know
I will
one of
say
them
that
was bring a gargoyle. I think it's got bringing a gargoyle help.
stuff that makes, like, because it's all plugged into the core mining system, so anything that makes extra crits, extra that kind of stuff, then that will be useful to you.
Okay,
I
name
would
taken.
say,
Does mining gear matter? Shrike said yes. There you go.
in terms of advice for the actual boss, I would say, like, I'm going to go for the opposite kind of advice and say don't rush it, because it's safe deaths. You can kind of choose whether you go really intense or really slow. If you find PVM style encounters a little intimidating, but you're looking to kind of get into it from a skilling point of view, I think this is a good one to start with, not to toot my own horn, but because it is, like, relatively safe.
Fair.
So don't feel like you have to optimize it as soon as possible, because that's not fun a lot of the time.
Right, before
I think I'm going to get cancelled for that, but whatever.
before we do finish, and really sad that we have to finish the stream very soon, but if you all can see our lovely Twitch screen, and you can see where Shrike's screen is, and you want to do a nice little pose, I'm going to do a nice little screenshot of all of us, including our cameras. So give it a big smile when you're ready, and I will take a screenshot. So I'm just going to be sat like...
How's that framing?
this.
Is that all right?
Is that good? Does that work for everyone?
I can barely see myself in, like, the mess of whatever's going on here, but
I'm just going to stand. I'm just going to sit like this and smile and wait. I'm trying to get the... There we go. Little RuneScape bit. So I'm going to do a picture in 3, 2, 1. Yay! Amazing.
very nice. Harold gets to pick up his death taxes.
And I will be posting that on Twitter. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a lovely episode of... Oh, look how many people there are. It's lovely. It's been a great episode of our Runeskill and chat. Join me tomorrow for our Runeskill and boss, where I will be joined by I'm Crystal and Mrs. Caitlin tomorrow. But I'd love to say a huge thank you to our wonderful JMods who have joined us today. Mod Blkwitch. Thank you for coming. and the amazing Mod Shrike. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to do more stuff like this again. But yes, from us to you, have a lovely evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.